It doesn't really matter who you are, where you're from, what you've done, what your struggles are. You're going to be able to find someone on my roster of people that I've talked to who demonstrates that it can be overcome and it can be achieved.
Jeff, welcome to the podcast, Rock Your Money, Rock Your Life.
So glad to be here. I'm ready to rock your podcast.
I love it. I love it. So listen, let's take the listeners back a little bit, because what you've created in your life, you've impacted so many people on a digital level, and the world is moving in that regard. Can we talk a little bit about who you were prior to you starting that part of your life?
Yes, my inauspicious beginnings. I was a jazz piano player, or really a working musician. I mean, whatever the gig required, I would figure out how to do. All through my 20s, I started playing piano when I was, I guess, technically 16. And it was really just a very pragmatic decision based on my one experience of having a summer job as a teenager and realizing I was not well suited for, traditional employment. And that if I didn't figure out some sort of, monetizable skill that I could still have a little bit of control, that I was going to end up stuck in a job. And so I got really serious about music. I actually dropped out of high school and spent 8 or 10 hours a day. I mean, I literally played until I got arthritis in my wrist. I still have it to this day, but I just went into the woodshed, as we call it, as a musician, and shedded for probably, I don't know, 10,000 hours within 5 years, and got to a professional caliber by my early 20s. I was gigging and just working as a musician. And I was certainly excited that got to be my life. I didn't have to clock in like most people, but also I wasn't excited when I realized how much that life pays. Being a working jazz musician who supplements with a few piano lessons in Houston, Texas. I mean, it's a great gig. It's a great community, a lot of great musicians, but it's not like LA. You're not going to get discovered and end up playing Wembley Stadium. You're just, you kind of cap out at, I don't know, 50, 60 grand a year maybe, and that's your life. And so I was always trying to start businesses. I knew that I wanted just more abundance, more opportunity that is out there in the world, but it takes capital. And so I was always starting businesses all through my 20s while I was working nights and weekends as a musician, and also finishing school. But, and by the way, somebody may have heard me say finishing school, but also that I dropped out of high school. There's a whole story there, but I was able to actually get into college and get a music scholarship. But yeah, by the end of my decade of my 20s, I had failed at about 10 different businesses. And ended up in a massive amount of debt. $495,000 was the technical amount, spread between a few different agencies who take their debtors very seriously. One of which is the U.S. Treasury Department. And that's really how I got fully into entrepreneurship. Is it became untenable to be a part-time entrepreneur. And I needed to go full-time entrepreneur, and, thankfully went online and was able to dig out of that debt and do some cool things.
That's really awesome. So in your heart, you're an artist.
Very much.
You basically don't want to live the life of a 9-to-5. Who does, for the love of God, right? Bunch of people have been sold that that's a cool thing to do. And you've parlayed this now into being really good in the digital arena. Before we get there, you have some plaques on the back of the wall that I can see there. What are those about?
So a few, things, notable achievements, I guess you could say. I have a couple that are Inc. 5000 awards. So, we can get into the nuances of my digital business journey a little bit more if you want to, but a couple things I did, one of which was from 2013 to 2018, I had a digital agency. We provided marketing services to over 10,000 small and medium-sized businesses around the United States and Canada. And that agency was on the Inc. 5000 twice, 2 consecutive years, 2017, 2018. So that's 2 of the plaques. And then the other 2, the bigger ones, the ones that look like platinum records, Those are for specific digital marketing funnels. And they're called 8-figure awards. So that means I had 2 different online sales funnels that I built that generated each over $10 million in revenue. And those are awards given by a platform called ClickFunnels.
Got it. I was going to ask about that. So we hear a lot about ClickFunnels and Russell Brunson. We hear a lot about people making money online, but it's so rare for me to actually come across somebody that's actually doing it. A lot of people talk, I hear a lot of people struggling to try to do it, try to figure out the landing pages, try to figure this out. So tell us a little bit, you're in that community, you've had great success. Are there really many people making it, or are you that 1% of the 1%?
I mean, I'm certainly in the I would say the elite tier of the, I don't know how you organize it, but I mean, you used to be in real estate, right? Transactional real estate. You had Remax franchises and Keller Williams franchise. Right. It's honestly not that different than being a realtor. Like, I mean, I would ask you, is it, so hard, borderline impossible to make good money as a real estate agent?
Well, I'm in the same category in that field as you are probably in that, right? Is you got to be consistent, you got to have a system, you got to follow the process. Right. For most people, they can't do that, so they struggle. Yeah,
so there's 3 million realtors in the United States, and most of them have less than 2 listings a year. I mean, it's a disaster, right? You can't even you can't even pay your cell phone bill with what most realtors make, and yet, the people that have a different approach to it can make millions and millions of dollars. That's literally how digital marketing is. I think the difference is, there's a higher level of skepticism around the digital stuff because it's not tangible. Right. Everybody knows real estate exists. You walk on it, you touch it, you live in it. So nobody doubts that it's like a real thing.
Right.
Whereas the internet, everybody I think is completely in a consumer mindset where it's like this thing that feeds them media and information and entertainment. But like the idea that you can actually, flip that into a producer mindset and use it to generate wealth for yourself is so foreign to most people that a lot of times they just write it off as a scam.
Right.
But writing that off as a scam is literally no more illogical than writing off real estate as a scam.
So what was the product or service you sold?
I've done a lot of different things from 2000. I started in November 2008. And again, that was when my back was against the wall. I hit, no pun intended here, but I hit rock bottom. And, I was $500,000 in debt. I was a piano player. There was nothing I was going to do. And the majority of that debt was to the US Treasury. They weren't going to let me, squiggle away unless I wanted to move to, I don't know, Mauritius or some off the beaten path place that didn't have a treaty with the US. And and I can explain how I ended up in that much debt with the US Treasury if anybody wants to know. But, from that situation, I went online, I became an affiliate marketer. Affiliate marketing is kind of the lowest barrier to entry way to do internet business because you don't have to have products. You don't have to have employees. You don't have to do customer service. You don't even have to be able to process your own payments. You don't even have to
promoting somebody else's product.
Yeah, it's just a referral business, only now it's online and it's all tracked through links. So I did that from 2008 to 2012, generated about $10 million in commissions, which are, again, that's commissions. That means it was what they sent to my bank account. Now, obviously I had expenses. I had to pay for ads. I had to pay for, mostly it's advertising expenses and a few, platform fundamentals. But
what were you promoting? What products did you choose?
So I promoted a variety. I got really, really into education products because I was teaching myself online. And so I got really, passionate, and this translates into what I do now about how valuable it is to get trainings, courses, memberships and so forth, where you're getting access to like the real information that can give you real, tangible, executable steps to generate real outcomes, which is kind of the opposite of, college. And I'm not like totally anti-college, but in general, like you can't go, yeah, I remember that day when I was sitting in my archaeology class, when they told me this one thing that I went out with and I made $500,000. Like that doesn't really happen. And with online self-education, it does. And so I very quickly, as I was learning about, honestly, the first product that I promoted as an affiliate was the training program that I was learning from. I found out they had an affiliate program, and a lot of people do this in ClickFunnels, like you mentioned. They start using this software, and they're like, "This is so cool. I want to tell other people and get paid for it." That's what I did. I promoted a marketing education product initially. And then frankly, once I started making a few $100 and I was exposed to a different type of, just a different world, different community, different mindset of people, I realized very quickly that I was very, very ignorant in general when it came to business and finance. So the next product that I sought out was a financial literacy and a financial education product. And they had some higher level stuff that was more sophisticated, like investment education. And I became an affiliate for that. And those are the two products that I primarily wrote out for the majority of the 5 years. I mean, and then I had some ancillary stuff related to that, like software and marketing tools and email autoresponder platforms. You know, just about everything has an affiliate program now, but the bulk of it was marketing education and financial education.
Okay, super cool. And then you transitioned into teaching people how to do it, correct?
Well, yeah, there's about 6 years that would go unaccounted for if I said yes to that question. And in those 6 years, it's when I had my agency. So 2012, I had made enough money that I had, really turned around the quality of my life, but I also got kind of burned out. And I'll tell you why I got burned out. And that's, speaks to your original question is I was selling marketing education and financial education products to, hundreds of thousands of people. I think during those 5 years, I think I had something like 100,000, customers that I earned a commission on. And because I was also list building and I was also connecting with my audience and my customers, even though they weren't strictly speaking buying the products from me, I was still trying to do what you should do in affiliate marketing, which is, cement some kind of a relationship ongoing with those customers so that frankly, you can promote other products to them. And it's a lot easier to sell another product to an existing customer, right, than acquire a new one. But because I built a list and a rapport with those tens of thousands of students, I started to get feedback from them. Even though they weren't buying from me and they weren't my customer, they'd still like, "Jeff, I bought this thing and it's not working and I can't figure it out." And eventually I got like overwhelmed and almost like burdened by the amount of what I would now describe as learned helplessness that I was hearing back from people that were struggling to get any results with these products that I knew worked because they're exactly what I used. The marketing platform I was promoting is exactly the marketing platform that taught me how to make millions of dollars. The wealth education program I was promoting was exactly the program that taught me what to do with millions of dollars. I knew they were legit. And yet the vast majority of people, at least the squeaky wheels that I heard from, were all these just sob stories of struggle and helplessness and I don't know, just inadequacy. And I realized, I don't know, at the time I wasn't mature enough to really be objective about that. And it kind of took a toll. So 2013, I was like, I'm out of affiliate marketing. I don't want to lead a lot of people to their own demise. So I'm going to go start an agency because then at least my customers are actual business owners where they have budgets. They know that marketing is important. They have revenue. And I'll use these same digital services to help, plumbers and roofers and pool cleaners and guys like that grow their businesses because they were really struggling in 2013. For the previous century, they'd just been running ads in the newspaper and the yellow pages. And suddenly that stuff wasn't working anymore.
Right.
So I saw an opportunity there. And from 2013 to 2018, again, I focused on that market and it was really successful. But then in 2018, I actually had an opportunity to sell my agency or to sell the book of customers for my agency. And I had an exit, made enough money that it was like, okay, cool. I can take some time off and figure out what I want to do. And what I really missed from the old days was the evangelism, the inspiration. And I know someone like you can appreciate this, like helping people understand that there are vastly different possibilities for their lives and that there are actual tools and strategies that can help them realize those possibilities. And that's when I pivoted back into what I'm doing now.
Yeah. So what I hear you saying is the sense of fulfillment of helping other people improve their life.
Yeah. I loved getting people bought into what they could do with their life. It started to take a toll when when the results were harder to come by than what they were probably willing to do, or it was forcing them to get uncomfortable. and they were hitting me back with like, hey, this isn't what I signed up for. I didn't know it was going to be so hard. I'm just a more mature person now. Now I'm comfortable hitting them back with, if you want things that most people don't have, you need to do things most people don't do. And if that's a problem for you, you need to go have a conversation with the guy in the mirror and stop blaming me.
Yeah. Nice. So you have a podcast called Millionaire Secrets. Tell us a little bit about, what's exciting about that.
Yeah. So I started that earlier this year. It's, I guess probably now maybe 6 months. It was kind of loose at the beginning and we got more organized with it, and I think we're creeping up on 100 episodes. So we've been pretty aggressive,
Wow.
and here's why I did that. Like, podcasting is, it's a long game business, right? Like you're not going to start a podcast and make $1 million in the first 12 months. Right.
No.
And so I didn't do it because it's a revenue driver in my business. I did it because I felt like it was an important way to build a choir of voices. There's something so powerful about a choir as opposed to a soloist.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a soloist a lot of the time. I'm out there telling people what they can do for their life and what's happened for me and my anecdotal experience and all this and all that. And eventually it's nice to hear it from someone else. So I started bringing on friends initially, people I knew. And then it kind of took on a life of its own where it's like, okay, I'm going to create a body of work that demonstrates a preponderance of evidence that it doesn't really matter who you are, where you're from, what you've done, what your struggles are. You're going to be able to find someone on my roster of people that I've talked to who demonstrates that it can be overcome and it can be achieved. I've had guys on there that are ex-felons. I've had guys on there that are, used to live in their car, people that have come out of drug addiction, and frankly, people that have just kind of been like normal, plain Jane, living their life. And then one day they decided they hated their job and they went a different direction. But eventually, if somebody actually took the time to listen to all my episodes, I like to think that all their excuses would be exterminated. And that's really the goal.